Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video is on how to cut and sew 6 pieces short dress. The material I have here is 45 inches length. I'm going to cut the back. I fold into 2 and I will measure 15 inches here. After folding into 2, I measure 15 inches. This is 15 inches after folding into 2. I place my tape here. Half length is 16 inches. I will add 1 inch to sew. So I have 17 inches. I will measure here 5 inches. I will measure all through. I will measure 5 inches here. 5 inches. Full length is 38 inches. This is 38 inches. Then I will add to sew on the bottom. I measure 5 inches. So after sewing with 1 inch, it will remain 4 inches from here. So this will be the dart. This place, the wideness of the dart. I will show you when I'm done sewing. Half length, like I measure, is 16 inches. Then I add 1 inch for sewing. From here to here, A shape, like this. Like this. I measure 1 inch the bottom to curve. So this is how I will cut now. I will cut here this way. So I cut straight from shoulder to waist. From here, you can see the way I'm cutting this place now. I'm going to cut the side now. You can see the way it is. I'm going to cut like this on the side. This is the full length, 38 inches. I'm going to cut for the side. I fold into 2. First is 40 inches. Waist is 38 inches. I remove 5 inches. That is 10 inches altogether. Let me show you. I fold into 2. I have 5 inches. When I open, it's 10 inches. I'm going to sew with 1 inch on this side, 1 inch on this side. Bust is 40 inches. Divide by 4 will give me 10 inches. After sewing this one with 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on the other side, it will remain 8 inches. Folding into 2 is 5 inches. When I open, it's 10 inches like this. This is the one I will sew on the side. I'm going to measure 6 inches. So after folding into 2, I will measure 3 inches. Folding into 2 is 3 inches. When I open just like this one, it will give me 6 inches. I fold into 2 and I have 15 inches. So I'm going to measure 3 inches all through, just like I measure 5 inches here, all through the length. Length is 38 inches, which is here. Then I add for sewing. This is the full length. Then I will measure 3 inches. I add 1 inch to sew. That means I have 4 inches here. I measure 4 inches. I'm going to measure 4 inches all through. Half length is 16 inches plus 1 inch to sew. This is 17 inches. Like that. Then I will curve just like the previous one this way. I will cut here like this. This for the side. Like this. When I open, I have 8 inches. So I will sew with 1 inch here. I will sew with 1 inch here. So from here it will remain 6 inches. Just like after sewing 1 inch here, 1 inch here, to remain 8 inches. So that means half of this will remain 4 inches and this place will remain 6 inches. 40 inches divided by 4 is 10 inches. Remember, I measure 5 inches. After sewing with 1 inch, I will have 4 inches remaining. After sewing with 1 inch here, 1 inch here, I will have 6 inches remaining. So 6 inches plus 4 inches is 10 inches. This for one part. I'm going to cut for this side. Just like I cut this one, I'm going to cut for this side. I fold into 2. This 15 inches. I will place the one I just cut on top and cut exactly the same. I will sew this one here and I will sew this one here. You can see the way it's flared on the bottom this way. I'm going to cut the front. This one I finished cutting is the back. I'm going to add zip on the front, so I leave about 1 inch for zip allowance. That is after folding it to 2, 1 inch allowance for zip. I will place this on top. This is the back, the very first one I cut. I leave 1 inch allowance. 1 inch allowance is enough for zip. This is 1 inch allowance for zip, this place. I'm going to cut the same. The difference is just the zip allowance. I'm done cutting the front. This is the back. I'm going to start to sew. I place on top like this. I will sew with 1 inch. Then like that. I will sew with 1 inch. Getting to the waist. Waist is 38 inches. Instead of sewing waist with 1 inch, I will sew with 1.5 inch. Start with 1 inch. To the waist, I will sew with 1.5 inch. I sew with 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. You can see the way it is. I sew with 1 inch all the way to the bottom. This way I sew this place. Yes. I will sew like that on the front. This is the back. I'm going to add zip on the front. I'm done sewing the front. I will fold into 2 to cut this place for zip. this for zip. I'm using this long zip. I have 32 inches zip. I'll sew on the front. I'll cut the shoulder. This is the back and the front. I place together this way to cut the shoulder and the armhole. Shoulder is 16 inches. This 16 inches plus ½ inch to sew. Armhole, I measure 10 inches. Armhole is 10 inches. Bust is 40 inches divided by 4 is 10 inches, which is here. Then I will add sewing allowance on the bust. Half length is 16 inches plus sewing allowance. Waist is 38 inches divided by 4 is 9½ inches, which is here. Then I will add sewing allowance like this. Then I will trim from here just this way. Then armhole, I curve like this. I will use ½ inch to cut on the shoulder here. ½ inch. I'll cut this way and just trim out. Neckline, I will measure 2½ inches because it's going to have collar. Neckline is 2½ inches. Then I will cut back with ½ inch. Like this. Waist, bust, shoulder and armhole. Front neck, I place my tape on the shoulder and I measure down 6 inches. I will mark a V-neck. I'm going to join the shoulder. After joining the shoulder, then I will measure the neck to cut the collar. I will sew here. And here. After sewing the shoulder, I will measure the neck to cut the collar. I'm done joining the shoulder. I will measure for collar, the neck. I measure from here. I have 10 inches up to half. Then up to this place, I have 20 inches. So I'm going to cut 20 inches for the collar. The measurement I have here is 21½ inches by 8 inches. I will fold into 2. I will fold again this way, like this. I will measure here 3 inches and the back 4 inches, like that, just like this. Then I notch just like this. Then I will iron gum stay on one side. I'm going to cut the sleeve is into 2. I'll fold again to give me into 4. Sleeve is 20 inches. This is 20 inches. Then I will use this part, the remaining one here, 1.5 inch, to fold. Like this. Round sleeve is 10 inches, divided by 2 is 5 inches. This is 5 inches plus sewing allowance with 1 inch. And I will notch this place and here. I will sew here and here. I will measure 10 inches here, 10 inches here before I sew. I'm done sewing the sleeve. I'm going to sew zip first before I sew the collar on the neck. I cut long pieces. I will leave about 1/2 inch to sew from here for collar. After 1/2 inch, I will, this remaining one, this extra, I will bring it this way and place on top like this. And this one I will fold inside with 1 or 1.5 inch this way and place on top. So this zip is facing down. After sewing, it will come this way. It's facing down like this, and I will sew on top like this. I will sew all the way to the length of the zip. I will do the same on this side with this piece. I'm done sewing. So the length, I have about 2 inches remaining on the bottom for zip. So I will bring this way and iron and stitch on top. This is the back and the front. After ironing, I will stitch on top. So I leave about 1/2 inch here to sew collar. I will do the same here, 2 inches, then before you place and sew and place this one on top. I have 2 inches here. After the zip, from where the zip ends, then I measure down. I have 2 inches. I will measure from here 2 inches before I place the zip. These 2 inches. Then I will start the zip from here, from this place, and place this on top, and I will sew up to the neck. I'm done sewing, and I will iron before I top stitch. I will go and top stitch. going to sew collar on the neck. I will start here. I will go and sew. This is the center. I will sew from here to the center and to this side. Yeah. Then I will raise this one up and sew like this. After then, I will use this one, fold this way to cover this rough part. I'm done sewing. This is the line I sew. This the neckline up to here. This one I didn't sew along with this one. I will use it to cover this place like this. I will sew on top. This is the shoulder, this is the shoulder, this is the back neck, this is the front neck. I'm done sewing the collar on the neck. I will sew this sleeve. I will place the sleeve on the shoulder. This is the shoulder, this way, and sew. I will sew up to here. I will do the same on this side. I will sew here with this. After sewing, then I will join the two sides. I will measure bust and waist before I sew up to the bottom. I will hem the bottom. I will show you when I'm done doing that. I'm done fixing the sleeve and I sew the side. I'm going to iron. This is the final sewing, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are new, you are welcome. Please subscribe and remember the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video.